Hey, what is good, everybody? Welcome to Yo What Nerd. I'm Malcolm McFadden, the creator of 615 Comics, and this is the first time I'm getting a chance to do creator chaos. All right, so this is where I have a creator on, and today I have AJ Ampadu. What's good, bro?
Peace, peace, peace. How's it going?
Going good, going good. So, like I said, I have a creator on, and today AJ's here with me, and we're just gonna chop it up, and we're just gonna talk about who we are as creators. Hey, what's up, little man? Special guest.
This one needs to go to bed, but he's just saying bye. All right.
Good night, little man. But yeah, this is uh where I talk to creators and we kind of just chop it up and say what we're going through as comic book creators on our day-to-day life. Cause it can be, as you know, AJ, it can be hard being a comic book creator. Oh, and just to give you all some backstory on AJ, AJ is the writer of Shadow Man for Valiant Comics and a writer for a bunch of other books. He has his own indie books right there. Oh, that's Shadow Man right there. But AJ is also a writer, has a bunch of indie books out too, and he's really in the game. I think he's ready to show some more. Yes, yep, yep, yeah. So, how you doing today, bro?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Life is so crazy. It's such a beautiful tapestry of experiences. Um, I'm a big sports guy, and the
Mm-hmm.
Buffalo Sabres just lost in overtime in Game 7. I'm from
Mm.
Buffalo, East Side Buffalo, so football, hockey is just big part of our DNA. Coming from Western New York, and yeah, man, seeing the Sabres lose like that, it's just like Buffalo always has these like monumental losses, and
Yeah,
it's not like a
yeah.
regular. You can there's all different ways you can lose, but Buffalo just always loses in these heartbreaking, like heart wrenching, like defying the odds how we lose. And the fandom is so crazy in Buffalo. It's just an analogy for life, man. You just the way you take an L is really kind of defines who you are as a character. And I
Mm.
don't know why I'm even going on this tangent. But yeah, that's kind of like what I've been thinking about philosophically today a lot. It's just winning and losing and just the ups and downs of life and how to navigate that. And a lot of that pours into what I write and pours into
Mm.
being a comic book creator. When you say it's not easy, yeah, just learning how to roll with the punches. Big producer I'm a big fan of, Conductor Williams. He had a whole post recently about being like water, and just like how
Mm.
he went on tour and they lost his bag and like his equipment he was going to use to play for the show that night, and all his clothes was gone. So how are you going to do the show? How are you going to clean his clothes? And he got a flat that had a wash and dryer so he could just wash his clothes, and then he had a little laptop, and he just downloaded his beats or whatever to his laptop. Well, he just made it happen still,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
his motto was be like water. And sometimes you absolutely have to be that way when trying to navigate this. I'm rambling. I'm gonna ramble a little bit more. When I think about
No, this
Avatar,
sounds like a lot about combo creating. This sounds just
uh,
like combo creating.
sure, of course. Avatar: The Last Airbender. When I think about water bending, and I feel like it's the strongest form of bending because
Hmm.
water has so many different forms, right? It can be solid like ice. It can be if you heat it up, it becomes mist or vapor, right? But then it's also water. And water can be
Hmm.
it's one of the most destructive things in nature. Like water destroys stone, right? Like when over time water is that strong that it can shape mountains and things like that. And water's also we're made of water, right? The blood
Yep.
bending in Avatar, because we're made of water. So when I think of being like water, I think of being like nature and being like everything and existing and being able to change form, solid, gas, liquid. In storytelling, being able to change the type of storyteller I am, being like water is kind of like a mantra that I've been also thinking about a lot. So yeah, I think that ends my rant.
So how have you been using that like in your creator life? Like what are some things
Okay,
like you're working on and using that philosophy towards?
so for one, I've always written various types of stories. I
Hmm.
mean, I've gotten a lot of accolades for my horror stuff, but Kimmy Cosmic is an all ages space fantasy, and you know, it's about a little girl who's a space cowboy, and a lot of creators who look like me probably wouldn't make something like this, right?
Hmm.
So just being malleable in that sense, and just getting in where I fit in, and not saying no to ideas, not saying no to different styles of writing, always learning. Like I'm trying to take more writing classes. Like I'm never going to
Right.
reach a point where I'm like, I've conquered writing. Like that's not even a thing. Like I always it's like a art role playing game. You can always max out your points, or you can never max out your stats. You can always just keep adding more experience points infinitely. So that's what I want to do. I want to continue to learn how to be a better writer, and I'm employing new writing methods that I just literally just learned last week from a seminar I took in this new issue of Shadow Man. So I'm always pulling new tactics, new skills, and I think that's goes in with the whole "be like water" mantra.
That's what's up. Yeah, yeah. I mean, because I like that what you were talking about, just being able to write different series and kind of, just like you said, be shapeless, like kind of go into these different forms. Because I think that's one thing as a writer that is like a badge, like you can wear it as like a badge, to where some writers really just write what they know. They write a certain genre, like you said, you've written horror and kids. Some people just write horror comics, but I think that's a good skill to have, especially when you write, especially with somebody like you who's written for different people, written for yourself, just to be able to jump into those different lanes and jump into those different genres.
Yeah, absolutely. It's also writing in different places. Now as a father, my writing time is more limited. So sometimes I have to find pockets of time to write.
Mm.
So that means getting really good at writing on your phone. Um, you know,
Which
I
sucks.
know,
I hate
yeah,
that. I
it
hate that.
sucks, but sometimes it's, it's the only way, but that a good way of writing on your phone is just using text to speech, that allows you to kind of just like spit out some dialogue and then, record it real quick, or you got to do what you got to do. There's some apps that actually are optimized for writers to write on their phone.
Oh, for
You
real?
know, yeah, I mean, the one that I use Writer's Duet, even though there's
Right.
I saw some other apps that actually look even better. I've just been using Writer's Duet for like almost a decade, so I'm just kind of locked into it. But there's probably newer ones that are even better. But what I like about Writer's Duet and a lot of script writing apps is how you can just start writing the name of a character and it populates that character because it knows all the names of the characters that you've been writing.
Right.
So yeah, I can just press enter and then boom, I got the character name. It saves me typing time because the app is locked into my script. So things like
Yeah,
that are
I
very
used to I used to use Celtic like a while
right,
ago,
right. So it's
and
funny you say that.
Celtic
I'm sorry.
is
Go ahead.
no, that's all I had to say.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I started off on Celtic, and I think that
Hmm.
I was bouncing between Writer's Duet, Celtics, and Final Draft. And Final Draft at the time, I think, was kind of like the industry standard. And I don't even know what I'm talking about because that might not even be true. But I feel like that's what it was. And Final Draft seemed really cool, but I like the accessibility of Celtics and Writer's Duet. But I think that Writer's Duet was slightly cheaper for like the annual plan, so I think that's why I ended up choosing it. But I feel like Celtics was really good. I mean, it's they both do the same thing. I mean, as long as you have a graphic novel template that I can use, then I'm fine, and it makes things really easy for me to write a comic book script. I remember the first comic book script I wrote was on Microsoft Word. Like I was typing everything out. Like, I used to write screenplays on Microsoft Word, and I'm like, what was I doing? Like the amount of time that it took, the amount of time you save now by using some of the modern writing apps is really helpful for sure.
Yeah, I was using, like I said, I was using Celtic, but then Celtic started glitching on me. It started acting
Ooh,
weird, and it would stop like saving stuff.
ooh,
So
no, no, heavens, no. Do you
yeah,
have a paid account? Did you use it, or were you using it for free?
I was definitely using it for free. I definitely was
Okay,
using it for
so
free.
so yeah, Celtics has the best free, I think, level. I think if you're a brand new writer, you've never used anything,
Mhm.
I think Celtics is the way to go because their free level is really good. But I do like I like the fact that Writers Duet had a lifetime plan. Like a lot of companies have removed that because capitalism. So now it's just easier to keep you on a monthly membership. But back in the
Mhm.
day, you used to be able to buy a program and own it for life, right?
Right.
So Writers Duet still had that, where you could pay like it was like I don't even think it was $200, and you could have the program, indefinitely. So I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna just go ahead and do that because then I don't have to worry about these dang monthly subscriptions. And that was years ago. So I'm happy I saved a lot of money of that because I probably would be paying for a monthly subscription for one of these other things, and you know how that adds up over time.
Does. Does. I've just been using Google Doc now. Like you said about typing everything out, I do type everything out.
Real use
It
Google Docs for your
sucks.
scripts though?
Yeah, because
Oh.
I kind of formatted it. I couldn't find something that was like Celtic. I love Celtic so much, so I just started
Mm,
formatting Google Doc like Celtic. Like I just type
mm.
everything out.
I wonder. I'm sure. I don't know. There's got to be something out there. Yeah, you know what it is. It was just one of those business expenses that I just said, this is I need this, right? This is essential, literally essential to what I do. So I just went ahead and paid for the account. So I don't know. It's up to you. I mean, I think that Google Docs is great, but I feel like you lose time. Like the
Right.
amount of the more we write, the more it's like minute per dollar per minute or whatever. How the more quickly you can write good content, the more profitable it is going to be for you as a creator. So
Right.
I'm always trying to find time savers, and I feel like having an optimized app for writing is kind of essential, and it's gonna in the long run for me it's worth the money, unfortunately.
Yeah. What did
But
you
all that
said you
stuff is
use again?
writers do it.
Writers Duet.
And you know what, like the problem is I use these. I signed up for this a long time ago. Let me see. Writers Duet prices. Let's see what they looking like right now. Right now, okay. So for you can get for $10 a month, you get like pretty much everything you need for the basic. But it does have a free. But the free account, I don't know what it has and what it doesn't have. Oh wait.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now.
There's a pro 11.99, 13.99. I mean, these aren't crazy monthly I know how the monthly subscription. Trust me, I'm like just recently purged like as many subscriptions as possible. Like if you can, like purge all your subscriptions. Like oh, I only keep essential subscriptions at this point, even if it's worth paying more for certain things. Like I order baby wipes and I just buy them every time, and it's like just subscribe. You're just gonna save so much more. And I'm like, nah, I don't want to do
Yeah.
subscriptions anymore. It's a trap. The subscriptions just trap you. However, like I said, I felt like this was an essential thing, and as I feared, they've removed the pay for life option
Yeah.
because we are
Yeah.
now in a subscription world. So yeah, you can do an annual one. They have an annual, which is going to make it cheaper, but you cannot buy it out for life. Those people, man.
Yeah.
But okay,
That's how
yeah.
they
So I
get you.
mean, I would still say that 10 to or you can get it as cheap as seven to $14 a month. I don't think you need the premium. You probably need the plus plan is fine. It's worth it. Or try the free one, see how you feel about it. Um, and like I said, download the app, see how you feel about using the app and writing on your phone.
Yeah, I'm
And
gonna try. I'm gonna test that out.
yeah, because bro, I don't want you using docs, bro. Can't have you out here using docs, man.
I've
It's
gotten pretty used to it though. I've gotten pretty used to it and
really
all the
okay,
shortcuts for it that I need. I've gotten pretty
okay,
used to it. And
okay.
sometimes if I can what I really should do, I really should make a template that probably
Hmm.
would help me out if I just made like a template and just kind of went off that template. That probably saved me a lot more time.
Yeah, I can we can do a little live. I'm not gonna do a share screen, but I have my I could show you. It's actually gonna be a spoiler if I show y'all this. You know what I could do? I can open an old script. I was about to. I'm like, I'm working on a new issue. I'm working on a new issue. I'm like, I can't show y'all that. It's filled with, it's chock full of spoilers.
Right.
Um,
You working on a new issue for Shadow Man?
yeah, yeah. Okay,
That's
so we
tough.
could we could look at something like this. I just want to show you what the program looks like. All right, let me see. Oh wait, can I reverse my camera on this? Camera one face, camera two facing back. Is this working? Okay.
Oh, yep.
All right. Um, hold on. Will this work? All right. Do y'all see it?
It's a little small. Hold on, let me make you. Let me see if I can make just you.
I don't know. This is probably not the best thing to do. I don't think y'all can see it.
If you're cool with
Uh,
sharing your screen, you can share your screen. I
nah,
think
you
it
know
would
what it
let
is?
you.
I'm streaming on my phone, and
Yeah, sure.
oh, you know what though? I could still share it that way though. I can still share my screen on my phone. Hold on. I'm trying not let y'all see how messy my desk is. You know what though? I'm not gonna do that because anytime I navigate away from stream on my phone, it turns my camera off and then I disappear. So we're
Oh,
not
sure.
gonna be able to do that. So yeah, anyway, sorry. I want to just show y'all what the script looked like real quick. But um yeah, I for me, it's just so essential to have it. But anyway, let's talk about some other stuff. I don't want to say technical all night. What else you want to chop it up about?
Let's talk about what is one of your biggest things going that you're going through right now as a comic book creator?
I think one of the biggest things I'm struggling with is balancing the creative stuff with the business stuff. Um, like it's about time allocation and man, so I'm surrounded by a lot of like very strong-willed type A hardworking people, and I'm blessed to be around there, like my wife, a couple of my friends, but it's tough because like the expectations are always like very high, and I have a business mentor, and she is always telling me what I need to do to get my brand off the ground.
Mhm.
And at this point, she's pretty much given up on me because I don't do the stuff that she tells me to do, not nearly enough to be successful. And well, not success, more successful, I should say. And I struggle with it because I even tell my wife we have another business and she runs the social media and the email stuff. She does that stuff so well and she's
Mhm.
able to monetize that stuff, right? And I was telling her how like I don't want to spend the time on social media. I'd rather spend that time creating. And I was like, I think it's better for me to not try to do all the social media stuff, just spend my time and energy on writing better stuff and getting my name into different uh creating more opportunities like with Shadow Man and just
Mhm.
working my way around that way. And she was like, no, you got to do the social media stuff. She's like, don't be old, do the social media stuff. And listen, I listen to black women when they talk to me, and like I receive what she says, but I still struggle with the reality of that because I tell her that that's not my skill set, right? Like
Right.
clearly God has showed me what I'm good at, and he's given me success in what I'm good at, and now I have to do stuff that I'm not good at and spend a lot of time at that on that. And also I just kind of don't even really like I'm like I feel like social media is very sinister and it's like changing, and it used to be one thing and now it's just a big ad revenue machine, and I don't really care for it like that. But once again, this is where the world is, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, just wrestle. So if you want, when you ask me what I'm wrestling with, that's what I'm wrestling with the most. And it's so funny. She's like, just do videos about like regular topics that are popular. So I just did a video this morning about the Drake album, and of course, it did really well on TikTok. And I'm just like, I guess I just could just do this every day, make a stupid little video about whatever I'm thinking about. So I am going to try to make more effort to be more present on social media and try to direct that social media content and traffic into my creative journey, because right now I'm really trying to level up. I'm trying to release way more indie books. Like at this point, Kimmy Cosmic and Dragonface are like 5 years old, and I need to put more issues out. The current storyline that I'm working on with Shadow Man, we're gonna wrap it up soon so we can do the full hardcover volume. So I'm gonna have a large break from that, which will give me more opportunity to do other stuff. And I really want to amp up my production. One of the big homies that I got in this comic book space, Anthony Stokes. Shout out Stokes, the writer. You should check his stuff out. He's really good
Yeah,
at
his stuff
like,
is dope. His stuff is dope.
yes, him and you guys, like, consistency is very, very impressive. From an independent standpoint, being able to consistently put books out, never really having long breaks in your production cycle and stuff like that. Like, I need to be more consistent as far as that goes, because I've lost a lot of momentum that I built up at the beginning. And I realized that with my last Kickstarter, it didn't really go crazy. And there's a lot of other reasons for that. Like, I still have a newborn at home. I've been, I just started sleeping for the first time in 5 months, like last week, because my youngest is now in daycare. So it's like, I can't even believe I've done anything over the past year with the cyclone my life has been. So I'm giving myself grace, knowing that, yeah, it wasn't the greatest Kickstarter, but it's okay. Like, going back to what we were talking about with the Sabres losing, like, every L takes you closer to a win. So I just got to keep going. I know it has nothing to do with the quality of the content. I mean, this comic book, the Silent Count comic book is absolutely beautiful. Like, the pages that we've gotten back is literally one of the most stunning comics I've ever worked on. And the writing is excellent. The artwork is fantastic. It's a completely original concept. There's no sports comics out there, really, and definitely not any really modern football comics. It's very, like, manga inspired with the artwork.
And that page right there was tough.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, the color schemes that we went with, like, when we designed the uniform, we wanted to go with I wanted to go with a color scheme that no one had used before. So, like I said, I'm crazy about color design. So specifically for it's a fictional team, Maryland High Fighting Crabs. I wanted a color scheme that no one had used. So it's like a coral. It's like a what's that, amaranth, which is kind of like a not like a magenta, but like a darker pink, kind of like salmon maybe, and cream. And it was just a color combination that no one had. And I'm just really happy with how the colors came out. And really, this splash page is phenomenal. It's broken. This is an ash can, so the page doesn't line up, but the final one, it'll line up. But shout out to the art team, Gabriel Fonseca and Alessandro Ruggiero. They are really good. And like I said, this is just the first 8 pages. Issue 4 is being illustrated, and issue 2 and 3 are being colored. So we're way far ahead. Like, basically, I'm gonna have the entire 4-issue, 100-page graphic novel done probably in a month or two. And we only did the Kickstarter for the first issue. So these next Kickstarters are gonna be quick. I'm going to be able to put those out quicker. We might even combine 2 issues in one Kickstarter, and then we'll be able to do the final graphic novel. And I hope when people really see the full project, I think that it will raise awareness for it, and I think we'll get what we need to get out of it. So circling back to what I was talking about before, my struggle was, like, just trying to beat the algorithm and try to create content that people want to see. Like, it's just a struggle for me, because I don't really know. Or actually, let me take that back. I do know what works on the social media.
I mean, we know what works.
crashing out. Like if you and me start arguing right now and we clip it, oh yeah, we'll get way more views. All right, I'm gonna drink my non-alcoholic beer. I want y'all to know it's non-alcoholic. I'm not gonna show the label, but I don't want y'all to think I'm drinking alcohol on the stream. But anyway, yeah. So I know, and I'm not for the ratchet. Like that's not my like. I didn't get into comics to talk about, to argue with people on the internet and stir up controversies, but that's how the whole thing works, man. That's we got a lot of people out here who are out here monetizing dissent. That's the way I phrase it. Everybody, there's like gender wars, there's political wars, there's all these types of people who are constantly arguing, fighting, and comics are supposed to bring people together. Like it's supposed to be like, sports are one of those things where You know, a Democrat will sit next to a Republican and have a great time watching a sporting event, right? You know, like it brings people together, right? That's what comics are supposed to do. You know, we're not supposed to have our political disagreements bleed into our appreciation of science fiction and fantasy.
Mm.
You know, we're supposed to leave that at the door and come into the comic book store and at least be friends while we're reading a freaking issue of Spider-Man. You know, like
Right.
that's the whole point of this stuff, right? The race relations, the political stuff. Now, here's the thing. As I say this, I do recognize that comic books have always been filled with social content. You know, when
Right.
people try to say that comics are woke, they've always been a reflection of the reality that we live outside our doors, especially Marvel and a lot of those other ones. So I recognize that there are real world issues that will influence, you know, how comics are written. But
I mean, because
ultimately,
I mean, the
go
people
ahead.
that write the comics are influenced by these real world things. So of course, these things will always be in comics. They'll always be in stories because I mean, they're humans are writing them. Unless we go into the era where only computers are writing, which I hope we don't. Um, then then that's what you're gonna get. But yeah, like you were saying, it's always been woke, but it's supposed to be a place where we can still, even if the stores are like that, where we can all just come in and enjoy these stories together and talk about these stories.
Yeah, you know, and I think for the most part that still happens. I think
Yeah.
there was a lot of talk about, you know, how comics were becoming too, you know, politically one way or another, and for years we saw this whole, I don't even want to call it a narrative, literally a war in a political war in comics and divide people. And I remember so many videos being made, especially about DC Comics and how DC Comics had lost the narrative and this, that, and the third, and that they were dead and they were going out of business. And so the amount of videos I saw that said that DC Comics were dead and they were going out of business and they're making no money. And to see the success they've had with Absolute
Mm,
is really, it just reminds me of how these things are just up and down. Like
right.
when you're talking about writing fictitious stories about characters for decades and decades, it's like the stock market. MCU's up, MCU's down, MCU's up, MCU's down. Like there's no, like it's never going to be like, oh, every story they do is just better than the last one. You know, the Winter Soldier came out and the next Captain America's even better, and the next one's even better, and the next one's even is that nothing ever works like that when you're talking
Right.
about endless storytelling. Of course they're going to put out some crap sometimes, and you know, things ebb and flow, and I'm not trying to absolve them for all the problems and mistakes that the major companies have done, but the way that people were trying to eat, you know, Marvel and DC alive for, you know, putting out a couple of movies that they didn't like. I'm just sitting here and I'm stroking my chin because I'm like, I remember in the 90s when Marvel always almost went bankrupt. Like this
Right.
isn't even nearly as bad as that. And I kept telling people Marvel's gonna be back. Like this is not, they not, I'm like, if this is the worst that Marvel can put out, then we're actually pretty good. Like
Right.
if Captain America Brave New World or the Marvels is the worst, if that's the bottom floor, if I saw those movies when I was 8 years old, I would have went crazy for those movies. They're not great, but like I'm okay with that being the floor, knowing how bad superhero movies used to be. You know what I mean? And even with some of the comic book stuff, it's the same thing. It's like, yeah, it might not be your favorite, but we've seen way worse, and we know that it's going to change and it's going to ebb and flow. So the whole Absolute stuff from DC is really inspiring to see because they shut all them haters up. Y'all, you can't say nothing. You can't say nothing about DC now. They are eating everybody's food. You know, so all of those people who planted the flag and were trying to celebrate and dance on mainstream comics graves, nah, bro. And now you guys are uplifted by the fact that they're so successful now because people are now coming into the comic book store in higher numbers, and now they could buy your lame comic that you know now too, because of your vicinity to these major characters that you're hating on for so long. So I just think it's funny when I see these types of things happen and play out.
Yeah, and that I liked absolute. I like what I saw with this one comic book shop was saying. He was saying like comics den. He's this comic store in LA. He was basically saying like, absolute has really changed things because people are coming in to buy Absolute, but they're also coming in to buy other stuff like indie books or stuff and things like that. And I think that's also important because we seeing a big, at least I've been seeing in the past few years, we see a lot of indie comics becoming shows or movies or live action. Like we're seeing more of these stories become popular. Like Barbaric was a comic that I thought was fire, and I always thought would make a good show.
I
It
never,
that
you
coming
know
to
what? I
Netflix.
just saw your video on that. I never heard of that comic before, and now I'm super interested. So thank you
See
for
it?
that video
See it?
because I never even heard of. And the fact that is it an animated show or a live action?
So I didn't see that. I know they're making it a series, so I'm guessing, I'm hoping it's animated. I think it's gonna be
It's probably
fire
gonna be live
animated.
action. It's
But if it's
probably gonna be
live
live
action, I
action.
hope they do it well.
It's probably gonna be live action. And man, I wish America could do an animation pipeline like Japan and Korea. I don't really understand why it's so hard for us to get high quality American animation. I, I
Yeah.
don't. I feel like all the animation studios in America are like optimized for the computer 3D Pixar style stuff. So that's where all the money in animation goes to. Whereas in Japan, it all goes to the traditional hand drawn stuff. And it bothers me because if you can clearly see the audience prefers hand drawn animation. Like it's really the standard. And I, as much as I love a good Pixar movie, I think I'm a little bit fatigued with that style of animation, and I
Mhm.
wish we could get more comics like Invincible even, and people are very critical of the animation of Invincible, and rightfully
I don't get
so.
that. I don't.
You
I'm
don't get it.
cool with it, and it don't bother me.
Okay, so I don't know everything, but it seems like they have different animation or animators because like some of the in between scenes are different than like the action sequences. So I believe that a lot of the action sequences are well animated, but I don't know if you ever seen the videos that people do where uh they'll take scenes from Invincible and they'll like add texture and shading and stuff like that to them, and it makes you look at the show differently. You know,
Okay,
it
well, I
makes
haven't
you
seen those videos, so
it
maybe that's
makes you
why
re-
I don't think that way.
yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where there's certain things that they do with the frames and with the characters that you can tell that they're saving money on the process. And just if you compare it to like anime, if you compare it to like the top, the newer anime that's out, it's yeah, it's good. Invincible's great, but it's a great show because it's a great story. But the level of
Right.
animation, I'm not sure is on the same level as the standard in the East. And also, there's only Invincible. Like, where's the other mature animated American shows? Why is there only one? You know what I mean?
Most of the
We
ones
have
I
all.
see are on Netflix.
Yes, sure. So Netflix has those, but Netflix does use a lot of foreign animators. So, like a show like Castlevania, for instance, which I love,
That's my
it
joint.
it feels more like an anime because I believe that they use animators from the East, which is cool. That's still great. So I'll give you that. So yeah, I guess you're right. It's more like a Netflix thing. But even a lot of those properties are still not comic books. Like when I talk about the pipeline in Japan, I'm talking about a manga comes
The
out,
manga
it's
goes,
hot, and it goes
yeah,
straight to anime. You know what I mean? Like why can't we just take the hottest comics and just make them animations with top
I'll
notch
be for that.
animators? It would be great, and that's why when people ask me about Kimmy Cosmic becoming an animation all the time, I'm like, you know what? For one, I got to build up my numbers. Like I'm not talking to Hollywood about anything until I get my story out there, until I get the fan base. Like I'm on some like 10 years stuff before I start talking about animation. I feel like a lot of people like to rush right into getting the TV show stuff. And if you have those connections, by all means, go get your money. For me, I'm still trying to master the whole comic book stuff.
I feel
So
you on that.
I'm gonna stay here until I get where I want to get to. But I really want to make my comic into an animation, but I'm not that pressed just because I don't see the pipeline in America really working. And maybe that'll change over the next few years. But as it stands right now, I'm not very convinced. But that's just my naivete.
And it costs a lot to get things animated. Like it costs a lot to, like, I remember
And it's crazy time consuming too.
it is. I was talking to animator. I was talking, and he was talking about like what I had to pay for a minute was wild. So I was like, yeah, what I would spend on that, I could just put it back in the comics and how it I can produce more comics and get my name out there. You know, produce have more content with them. So it was just it kind of just seems more feasible at the time to focus on which is I'm gonna do that anyway. I just want to focus on making the best comics, but it just seems more feasible to do that now and then build up a following and build up some money and then go into doing animation.
Facts, facts. Yeah, I mean that's the way I feel. I mean, I also believe in comics as a media,
Me
and
too.
I think that comics is there's a reason that comics haven't gone away. There's a reason that like it's still very prescient in the American world. It's also interesting how conventions have changed. Like you know, Absolute. We just spoke about that top selling comic in like 2 decades or something crazy like that. Something is special. There's something special about comic books specifically. And even right now, I love reading comics to my son. You know, and he loves them. He took to them so fast. I didn't even have to really work hard. I put a comic in his hand. He's like, "What is this? Give me this, more of this." And it's just such a fun way to experience storytelling, you know. And I love being on both sides of it. I love reading them and collecting them, and I love writing and creating them. So it's a great space to be in, man. Um, yeah.
I think with comics is really just the visuals matched with the storytelling. I think it's
Hmm.
just especially I think it's also an experience just having a I know people read more digitally now, but I think just having a comic in your hand, flipping through the pages, it kind of gives you the same thing of reading a normal novel, but also you got the artwork to go with it. And then as a fan of art, and like as a lot of us are, being a fan of like starting off with like hip hop with graffiti and things like that, just being a fan of art just with the stories and I just that is like a perfect mixture. I think that's what it is about comics and why we love them so much. I know for me being a visual person, I love to read, but I'm a very visual person. So that mixing those together for me is perfect.
Yeah. I love just also how you can show emphasis on certain aspects of like scenes. Like I'm writing a
Right.
scene right now, and I've written it's pretty much so the issue of Shadow Man I'm working on right now. Let's talk Shadow Man real quick. Is
Let's
the
talk
most
Shadow
important.
Man because it's fire.
Is the most. Thank you, appreciate it. It's the it's the most important issue of Shadow Man I've ever written, and Shadow Man it's become quite an experience for me because so much has happened to me while I've been writing this comic. Stuff that's happened to my family and things. A lot of personal issues that I've poured into this comic. And I was on Black Comic Lords last week, and they said that I was the Chris Claremont of Shadow Man, and that was crazy for them to say that because if you guys don't know, Chris Claremont is the most storied writer of the X-Men. You know, many writers have written X-Men, but Chris Claremont was the writer that made the X-Men the X-Men. Like he introduced Wolverine, he had the Dark Phoenix saga, like all the greatness of classic X-Men happened during his run. He was a definitive writer of X-Men. So many writers have written Shadow Man, but he was basically saying I'm the one who's really defining it
Right.
because I've also written the most issues of Shadow Man. I can't take that credit. I am not gonna say I'm the Chris Claremont of Shadow Man. But the the idea that I have contributed so much to the mythology of this character really means a lot to me, especially just because this is my first time. I'm sure there's other mainstream comic book writers who have written dozens and hundreds of different characters. And you know, for me, this being my first one at this level it's really important. So anyway, say all that to say, this newest issue is a it reveals a lot. It gives there's a mystery that's been going on the entire series, and this
Mhm.
issue unravels that mystery. And there's a really heartbreaking, heart wrenching scene in it, and I've written this scene probably like 2 or 3 times, and just trying to focus on which parts of the emotional journey and the reaction that the characters are having that I want to capture with the panels, like, has been really interesting to me, and being able to tell that story through comics has been really revealing to me. So yeah, when you say that, you love this how the art matches the story. There's action. There's a lot of action beats that we can match up, but how do we match up an emotional beat? Like I had a part where two characters press their foreheads together because one of them is sad and the other one is trying to console them. And I just thought about just the idea of pressing your forehead against somebody else. That's something that I want to capture in that panel. And I also think of the symmetry of that, of the two people coming together. And that's something that you can do with the comic book, right? You can visualize that, describe that to your artist, and have the artist bring it back. And if you're working with a good artist, they'll do an even better job than you saw it in your brain. That's what I love about working with artists. Like, I have an idea, and then if you work with a dope artist, you'll be like, yo, you took my idea and plussed it. You took it to the next level. And that's what I'm kind of going through right now with this whole Shadow Man stuff.
That's what's up. Hold on, quick question. You probably can't answer this, but who are you killing? Who are you killing in Shadow Man?
Who am I killing?
It sounds like you killing somebody, and I feel like I know who it is. Look,
well,
don't tell me.
I'll say this. Life and death work very interesting in this world, right? Because somebody can die, but they might not be all the way dead. But who do you think I'm killing, out of curiosity?
The detective.
Interesting. Detective Alyssa Miles. For those who don't know, in the world of Shadow Man, there's it takes place in New Orleans, and there's New Orleans is the magical capital of the world. It's a utopia. It's like a high society, and everybody's allowed to use approved forms of magic. And there's a police force that essentially is just the police force and keep everything in order. And there's a division called the Abettors, and they are allowed to use all types of magic to protect the city. And one of the characters is named Alyssa Miles, and this version of her, because our version of Shadow Man is a different iteration. There's been three other iterations of Shadow Man's going back past the decades, but our reinvention makes her a detective. She is a detective, and she's a really cool character because I borrow a lot of things that I know about Black women when I pour into her character. I really like writing Black women because they're just interesting. If you are writing a story about a hunter hunting a bear, you make that hunter a Black woman, suddenly the story is more interesting, right? So Alyssa and her energy and her attitude and the way she approaches this whole mystery that's happening is really interesting to me. So to think that I'm going to kill Alyssa, you think I would kill her? Oh my!
Because you said heart wrenching. As soon as you went to heart wrenching, because I can tell that you like that character just from reading the book. I can tell you like that character. I kind of feel like you might like her character more than Shadow Man, but when you said heart wrenching, like I was like, okay, you ready to kill her? she ready to be done.
So, speaking of heart wrenching, I'm not going to answer your question, by the way. I'm complete dodging that question. The issue I wrote an issue. There's an issue before where it's, I don't know if you read the werewolf issue. There's a character named Alistair St. Brown who was actually Alyssa's partner.
The wolf.
Yes, the werewolf. Did you read that issue? I don't know if okay.
Which issue is that? That's
the one. That's issue number 5, which would also be issue number 2 of the Ghost of the Bayou storyline. Actually, I think that's. Do I have it here in front of me?
This is where I don't want to spoil it. This is where like the. How can I say without spoiling it? You know how it has I think it's 4 or 5 like phases.
Right.
Third, I want to say.
No, yes. It would be the third phase. Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
Well, actually, no, this is not a spoiler. So there's 5 serial killers.
Okay, I didn't want
Prowler.
to.
Oh yeah,
I
no, that's not a
okay,
spoiler.
okay.
There's five serial killers causing havoc around New Orleans. They all have kind of they're all uniquely different, and we
Unique,
don't know yeah.
uniquely different.
Yeah, we don't know what's going on, why they might be connected, they might not be connected. It's part of the mystery that our detective Alyssa Miles is trying to unravel. And yeah, this issue, the third serial killer, her name is Midnight Bloom. She was fun. So I use okay, talking Shadow Man, like I mentioned, there were different iterations of Shadow Man before in the Valiant universe. Think of it like there was an Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, there's a Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, now there's a Tom Holland Spider-Man. It's like that, right? So we're on the fourth iteration of Shadow Man, and I got to use a bunch of old characters from previous iterations, but I got to make some new characters. And Alistair St. Brown, the Lycan werewolf, was one of the new characters I created. And Midnight Bloom is another new character. She's like an assassin, and she is one of the five serial killers that's moving around New Orleans, and she's active in that issue, the werewolf issue we're talking about. But the whole reason I even brought that issue up is because that was the issue that a lot of people said it made them cry, and that it was because at the end of that issue, um, the the werewolf Alistair's reveals his origin, how he became a werewolf, and within his revelation, he explains that the curse that he got bitten with, because it was on a blood moon, it was so powerful that it seeped into his uh, genealogy. So anybody that who he's related to is also cursed, and it causes his father to start to die. So this issue becomes a father and son story, and his father is an African immigrant, so it's also an immigration story. And the father decides to take on the curse. He says, "It's okay, son. I can take this." That's what fathers do. And I wrote it as a sentiment just because I know that being a parent is all about sacrifice. And in this scenario, we have a son who befell, he became a werewolf, and that's a tragic thing. And now the father is carrying the curse with the son. And I thought that's very tragic, but it was also very beautiful. And I just went with it. I just wrote it that way. And his the whole purpose of this story, every issue of Shadow Man is a contained story. It's an
Yes.
anthology, and it focuses on a different character, and each character interacts with Shadow Man. Usually they summon him, and you can summon Shadow Man, and Shadow Man will help you do something, but you have to pay him a favor.
Fair.
And in this case, in this issue, Alistair asks Shadow Man to cure his father. He says, I can't do that. His powers are limited. Shadow Man can disrupt spells, but he cannot cure curses. So he's like, yeah, I can make your dad healthy while as long as I'm touching him with my scythe. But as soon as I remove my scythe, he'll be sick again. So I can't stop this. It's a curse. It's too powerful. So then St. Brown asks him, well, can you make me not be a werewolf just so I can say goodbye to him? So Shadow Man says, of course, but it's going to cost you. And Shadow Man, the payment that you have to pay Shadow Man is it's called a boon. And a boon is usually something very personal to you. It can be a keepsake. It can be a memory. It can be a piece of your soul. That's your payment for Shadow Man helping you. So in this case, Shadow Man places his scythe into Alistair, and it makes him look like a regular human again, so that he can have a very personal moment with his father, not as a beast. So when he presents himself in human form to his father is like, you didn't have to do that. He's like, I still loved you despite the fact that you were a werewolf. Um, and they exchange like a joke, and then they just hug. And I just wanted to show that type of relationship. Like, I don't feel like we see enough examples of black love. I feel like we see enough examples of male father and son unity, and just like support and just intimacy and vulnerability. I feel like a lot of writers might be afraid to handle those type of topics, and I'm not afraid of handling those topics because I believe in the comprehensive man. We have masculinity, obviously, but there's a lot of things that make us who we are, and I wanted to paint that entire picture. So I was afraid of writing that issue because I was like, this is not like there's no fighting, there's no action, there's not like monsters. This is just a dude wanting to be close to his dad before his dad dies, and also being responsible for his dad dying, which I think is just a really, really messed up thing and a tragic, scenario. So I wrote that issue not knowing how people would take it. And turns out people really, really felt it. And it really, really struck a heart chord for a lot of fans. A lot of people wrote to me and said, "Oh my gosh, this reminded me of my relationship with my dad." A lot of people said, this brought me to tears. My editor told me it made her tear up. So I was like, "Oh crap! I guess I'm hitting the wavelength that people are responding to." So the things that are important to me to write about, I'm seeing that it's important to other people. So that all goes into this newer issue, this newest issue. Now that I kind of realize that there's certain things that I can lean into, there is a lot of that in this newest issue, just because of how important it is to the series. So I'm been rambling a lot this whole time. So please interject or pull me back because I could talk, man. I could talk.
That's what this
But
is
yeah,
for. This is creative
facts.
chaos, bro. It has no, we have
Sure,
no
yeah,
structure. We're just
yes,
talking
okay,
about being creators, and that's what
okay,
you're doing.
all right.
Yeah.
I promise you, there's no alcohol in this. But okay, yeah. So that's kind of like the way I that's how I do it when I write, man. Like I write late nights, lights low or lights out. I usually have deep house, Afro house, gospel house, or psychedelic music playing.
Hold up.
What's up?
Run it back. Run it back. Run it back. Run it back. You write Shadow Man in the dark.
You know what? Now that you can say it, it does make you sound kind of crazy. Um, Yo, sometimes really late
That's
at
why.
night, I do creep myself out because literally it'll be completely pitch dark and my cat will be like creeping around and I'll hear stuff. But no, the darkness is not because I'm trying to create atmosphere. I'm photosensitive, so I can't handle light and a lot of lights, and especially late night.
Mm.
I just it also it zones me out. Like when you work out and stuff like that, like
Mhm.
I used to do a lot of spin classes and stuff, and they always turn the lights off in spin class because it's time to focus. Like I don't need to see anything. I'm
Mhm.
focused on my fitness right now. So it's kind of a similar thing. It helps me lower distractions. It's like when they put the thing on the horses or the dogs or whatever, so they can't
Oh, a
see
little
around or
cone.
whatever. Yeah, that's the darkness. It just makes me I don't see anything except the screen in front of me. The music, it captures my conscious so that I'm not distracted. So that's why I like music without lyrics, because if I listen to
Mm.
hip hop, I love hip hop, but then I'm going to be focusing on the bars, right? But
Right.
if I listen to deep house, it's a constant beat that keeps me going, like it's musical caffeine, but I'm not hearing lyrics that will distract me. So yeah, bro, that's my zone.
Oh, I like that. But when you said that, it made me. When I tell people sometimes that I watch like scary movies in the dark at night, by myself, and people look at me funny. Now I know what people thinking when you said that.
Yo, it's funny. I had to stop doing that. I love watching horror movies. And
I do too.
now I think the last couple ones to freak me out, where now I'm starting to watch my horror movies during the day. I kind of stopped watching horror movies at night. Like I kind of have to watch them during the day now because what was it? It was that movie Talk to Me? What other horror movie that I watched late at night? And I was like, I gotta stop this. There's something else I watched. I can't think of it. But yeah, I love horror, man. Horror has changed so much over the past few years. I love how horror has become like a sophisticated way to tell stories about like the dynamic of the human condition. Like it used to
See,
be.
see,
Go ahead.
see, and
It used
I
to be.
hate that. I hate
You
that.
hate that? Why
Yeah,
do you hate
I
that?
want to go back to just somebody
Oh, jump
had a
scares.
yeah, I just want to go back to somebody just killing everybody. This kid drowned, now he's killing. I hate all the horror think
The
pieces. They're
yeah,
good. Don't get me wrong, they're good. But I used to just love horror just to be horror. Like it used
traditional
to go,
stuff. I
yeah.
mean, they're still the traditional stuff. I mean, I think that's why like
But
the
not
terror
enough. That's why I'm
the
mad.
Terrifier series was really popular because it was just an old school slasher horror with practical effects like
Yeah.
style. I feel what you're saying. It has gotten really like think piecey.
But I like those.
But
I don't want to say I don't like those because I
right.
do.
But you miss just like a
I need a
like
balance.
Halloween or like
Yes.
something like a Texas Chainsaw, something like that, right? Just some
Chucky. You feel
yeah. I
me?
mean, what about that one? Yeah, I guess I can't think of it because they all, I don't know. People they're gonna make what people want. So I feel like people
Right.
want
And
these types of
they
stories, so
do.
that's why we're getting them. But no, I feel you. I feel what you're saying about that. Um, so wait a minute. You told me that you were a hip hop artist.
Yeah. I used to be in a rap group. I rapped, make beats. I don't rap as much anymore because I
What
like
would you
my
would you make would you make beats on?
machine. Machine and
Oh,
logic.
nice. Oh, you were Logic, Team Law.
Not too much like when I was at first, but once I started using machine, like I started just using logic for a couple
I,
little
I
things, but I
always
went
always
straight to
wanted to
machine.
use native instruments. I always wanted to use that one. I got into Ableton. I was a Reason dude back in the day. Like back in the day, I was Reason and my boy was Fruity Loops.
I didn't
And
like either one of those.
yeah, Reason was dope. There's a learning curve, but Reason was dope. Um, I made all my original hip hop beats on there, and then I took a long break from beat making and I was just rapping for a while. And then when I started rapping less, I got back into beat making and I actually started a podcast with my buddies. It ran for 3 years. It was called Three Beats Later. And that's when I got into Ableton. That's when I got into Ableton. I became an Ableton nut. Like I was just like, this is the best thing ever. Because Ableton to me had everything I want. I could sample with it very easily. I could sound design on it very easily. I could do live performances with it very easily. It was just the most versatile. And I came to Ableton because so many other producers were using Ableton around me at the time. But anyway, I'm just interested in your transition or I don't know evolution from hip hop into comics.
Hmm. That is kind of tricky because I was probably a I was young, so I was probably a comic book fan way before I was a hip hop fan. But I just didn't go into creating comics or creating stories. I just kind of created them in my head. But with hip hop, I came into that around like in high school. It started off as writing poetry just to get some shit off my chest. Like just I had a lot of shit to say and I love to write and read. So poetry was naturally like that. And then that transitioned into rap because I love hip hop. So that transitioned to that. Then it was tough trying to find beats, so I just started making my own beats. So, but then the love of beats kind of overtook my love of rapping. But it really beat making really became more when I started writing comics because writing comics I used like kind of the same brain that I use to write lyrics. It's very weird. I can feel it. I like if I wish I could like pinpoint where it's at, but I feel like I use the same brain I use to write comics that I used to write lyrics. So writing comics kind of took over that part. And I haven't been making beats lately because just as being a new father and everything, I haven't. That was one of the things that was time consuming that kind of cut out. But I've really been missing beat making lately. Like I was listening to some of the albums I've been listening to, like Wale album, Drake album, those albums. Been what was other AZ's new album? They really wanted me to get back into beat making. So I'm trying
Yeah,
to. One thing is as a creator, I'm trying to figure out time to, still keep staying as consistent with comics as I am
yeah.
and putting all the work into it, but finding some time to just at least make a couple beats a week.
I agree with you on that. I mean, I love hip hop, and I want to, and I wish I could had more time to make it. The problem with hip hop for me, and that's just my own personal experience. Comics gives back, and hip hop doesn't for me. It's like if I make
Yes.
songs, I make beats, I do all that stuff. I just feel like it goes into a black hole. And
Right.
I feel like if I spend that same creative time on comics, I feel like it's a product that I don't know, like it just seems like it has more permanence. I think it's just the way that music is created and digested nowadays. It doesn't like it just it goes in one ear and out the other. Even if it's good, even if it's quality,
Yes.
it doesn't have that same I don't know, like value, I guess is what and I feel like that's mad disrespectful to all the people who are out there grinding, making amazing music. I'm not trying to say what you're doing isn't valuable because it's not. I'm a music fan. I listen to music every I don't think there's ever a time where I don't have music playing. Like I'm constantly listening to music. Like my entire life is all about music. But I I just feel like the industry mm,
Ruins music.
it,
That's how I
I,
feel.
I I feel like it's cliche to say that.
But
Um,
it does.
and yo, and shout out my brothers who are out there. Like I got homies who are still active. Like homeboy Sandman. Shout out my homie, big homie, homeboy Sandman. Shout out, shout out, my homie Megaran.
Oh,
Shout out my
AJ, I
homie
got a
Megaran.
question.
What's
I got
up?
a question for you. From the chat. I'm gonna put it up. So I didn't want to interrupt
Uh,
you. I just saw this
what's
question. I just
the
want to.
ups and downs of doing comics as an indie author? Okay. I think we've been talking about this already, but just to reiterate, I guess some of the ups and downs for me and Malcolm, you could chime in when you want. I think that it firstly it depends on what your goals are, and that's gonna
Mhm.
create your struggles, right? I mentioned earlier the hard thing for me is balancing my creative time with the business time, right?
Mhm.
So you got to spend time writing and creating and producing comics, and you also got to spend time marketing and building your audience, all that type of stuff. Certain people are better at certain things. I think it's right brain, left brain. I think building your audience is very right brain because it's just strategic and it's doing the same thing every day and posting and emailing and
Right.
writing and commenting and everything, right? Creativity is left brain. It's like imagining and designing and building and world building, all that stuff, right? I'm super left brain. Like I'm overwhelmingly left brain. So when it comes to right brain related stuff, I have to really dig in and I have to really focus and I have to really, really put my pedal to metal. There are other people who are so right brain, posting every day and doing all that type of stuff is super easy for them. You know what I mean? But if I asked them to do what I do, like build a world like Shadow Man, they could never do that. Right. So it's like I'm good at the comic book creating thing, and I got to get better at the marketing, promoting social media, whatever business side of things. And that's my biggest up and down, I guess. Or that's not really an up and down. That's really more of a conflict or a struggle.
Mhm.
I think the ups and downs is kind of more about like your just level of success and I had a kid, so I've had to slow things down a lot. So now I got to figure out how to get my money up so I can continue producing projects and doing things like that. So just trying to stay on top of your own career while balancing your personal life is definitely an up and down. Uh, so thank you for that question, Comics Plus. Uh,
Yeah. For so just to answer the question on my end, ups and some of the downs to start off with. Some of the downs is some of the prices for cons. Those are gonna be crazy. Um, and like he was saying, sometimes like with the left brain right brain thing, sometimes also being an introvert or outrovert, I'm kind of more so in the middle of it, but there's days where my social limit is a lot lower than it normally is, and sometimes at cons you really got to be talking to people. Like one thing cons, I'm always standing up. I talk to everybody that walks past me, and then that can definitely be hella draining. At the end of the day, it's like your spirit is kind of just shriveled up. You feel me? And then you
mm,
gotta kind of recover. But it has
mm,
a lot of upsides. Like you meet dope people. You meet like me and you met at a con. We knew each other before that, but we met actually at a con. And then you can get to meet other creators. You get to talk to different people. And normally people at cons, are sometimes looking for books, looking for new stories. It gives you an audience just to talk straight to. So there's a lot of downsides to cons sometimes, but like also what you said at the start, like if you think about them strategically, how you want to do cons and what you want to get out of them, whether it be networking, whether it be finding new people or selling stuff, you just kind of got to figure out what you want to do at a con and what cons fit what you're gonna do. So those are some of my ups and downs with cons. Yeah, thank you, Comics Plus. Hope we
Um,
answered it.
yeah, cons, man. Cons are I love doing cons, but
I
you're
do
a
too.
hundred percent you're 100% right. They're mad draining. Here's some con advice that I've kind of developed over the years. Um, Treat it like fitness. All right. If I told you you were gonna run a 5K this weekend, how would you prepare for that?
Mm,
What would you eat? How would you sleep? You know what I mean? Would you get drunk the night before? You know what I mean? Would you eat a
mm.
bunch of like fatty, sugary, greasy foods the morning of or whatever? Or would you make sure you got a full rest and drank a lot of water and ate a healthy, protein oatmeal or whatever, breakfast or whatever? Would you stretch? You would stretch probably before that. So yeah, do all that stuff before the con. Like,
That's good
because
advice.
standing on your feet for X amount of time is, especially the older we get at our age, yeah, that's essentially physical. It's essentially physical fitness. So treat your con like fitness. I don't really drink like that no more. I still drink a little bit, but like I said, this is non-alcoholic. So definitely if con weekend, I'm not drinking. You know what? I'm not doing all that stuff. I wake up if it's at a hotel, I wake up early, I go to the gym, do a little run real quick, you know what I mean? Make sure I eat a healthy breakfast. Um, I eat salad and fruit salad during the day instead of pizza and whatever. Another thing I do is if I drink coffee, I don't drink coffee in the morning. I wait until after 12 noon to have my first cup of coffee.
Mm.
That
So
way
you
the
don't get
caffeine.
that decline. Yeah.
Yeah. So those are just my little tricks for surviving cons. And now I can kill it. I can be on my feet all day. And I notice when people start tapering off, I'm still going.
Right.
Because I use my little tactics. Another thing is building your table. I like disruptive color. So we talked about color theory earlier. Um, I'm really big on disruptive colors. And how important they are. I remember going to New York Comic Con and just looking around, and everybody's tablecloth was black. Everybody's poster was black. And like black, when you're designing something, black is great. Like you're looking at, you're putting together on your computer, your graphic. It's like, oh, I love black. But in the real world, when you're at a convention, you want a color that pops out. And I remember looking at all the cons, and this one girl, she was selling like little princess drawings or whatever, and everything she had was pink, like bright pink, and it just visually just stuck out like a thumb. So like for me, my disruptive color is lime green. Like my comic company's Earth Tone Kingdom, so I wanted to go with like natural earth tone colors, but those are not disruptive enough. So I chose like a lime green. I think the most disruptive color is orange. Uh, but you can just if you're designing your table and if you're building your brand, using a disruptive color for physical conventions, I think is just a little bit of a tweak that you might help you get some eyes on your table.
It's
But
good
that's
advice.
just me. Um, but yeah, man, the cost of cons you mentioned, you always got to figure how much the vendor fee is, how much the foot traffic you're going to get, and what's the buying intention of the audience. Now, all of that, you usually have to retcon that, so it's tough for you to determine that without going to the convention once. Back in the
Right.
day when I had more time and I didn't have kids yet, I would go to a convention first before, like I spent 1 year just going to cons, and then I figured out which ones I liked, and then the next year I booked the based on my experience from the previous year.
Mm.
Now, that's not really easy to do nowadays, but it's a good thing to do if you have the opportunity to, because you can kind of see what people are buying. And some conventions you go to, there might be a lot of people, but they might not want to spend their money that much. Like for
Right.
instance, I like Anime NYC. I had a couple really great experiences. I don't think I'm doing it this year just because I feel like anime, while I sold a lot of comics to anime fans, it still was a little bit of there's a gap, like most of the people don't read comics, and a lot of them don't even read manga. You'd be surprised. So there weren't a lot of
They just watch
book.
anime.
Yeah,
Oh,
and they're there and they're spending all their money on um just like clothes and accessories and toys and all that type of stuff. So yeah, I made my table and all that stuff, like, and it was expensive. So that's another thing. It's very expensive to table there, and because I don't mess with Artist Alley and certain things. I want to do the main floor, and so it's expensive. And then they charge for Wi-Fi there so it was crazy.
dang, they
So
charge for the
yeah,
Wi-Fi too. Hey,
so I didn't even know that they didn't do that before. They did it, and that's another reason why I'm not doing it this year, because the prices was crazy. It was like they wanted like 300 a day or something stupid. I'm like, no, you're not gonna hustle me like that. But um for it to be so expensive and for me to still make my table plus means that there was insane amount of foot traffic. I mean,
damn.
that's why I wanted to do it, because I think it was like 60, 80,000 or something like that. Like the foot traffic is crazy. Like every single person who came by my table was a different face. I never saw the same person twice. Like it was just a constant stream of human beings, in cosplay. So even though there wasn't a huge buying intention at Anime NYC, the foot traffic made up for it. If it wasn't so expensive for the table, then I would probably consider doing it again.
Mhm.
But that's kind of like how you got to think about it, because I've done cons, for instance, BlurCon, very well attended convention,
Yes,
not as
great
many
con.
not as many people as Anime NYC, but way higher buyer intention.
Yes,
You know what I mean? And like everybody there is there to buy black indie comics. So that changes the perspective completely, because now, oops, I lost my camera. Now you don't have to spend as much time pitching to people, because they
Mhm.
want to buy the comics, and more people will actually buy. And you spend a lot of time at some of these other conventions pitching to people who have no intention of buying. So figuring out those dynamics will influence your decision as to whether or not book a con. Like I just saw a convention in Connecticut, and I found a Reddit, and they were talking about how it's one of the most valuable conventions, because their table fee was not that expensive for the amount of foot traffic and the buyer intention. So it's like, all right, if you factor all that together, this is a convention I should go to, because it has a lot of people. It had huge names like Jim Lee and all these other people, and they didn't want that much for the table. So you're right. Some of these tables are getting more and more expensive. And as indie comic creators, if you do some of these big conventions, you're competing with some people who are selling all this merchandise and all this stuff. It's going to be harder for you to make your table. So there's I have a friend. She's on Instagram and TikTok. I think it's Night of G. Is that her thing? I want to. This is all she talks about. She has a
the
whole
marketing
social media
lady.
platform. Yes.
Yeah,
Um, and I want to get her Instagram right. So if y'all have more questions on that, she's the person
I think it is like
to follow.
Knights of G or something like that.
Yeah,
I know it's Knights of something.
yeah, yep. Knights of G. Yeah, Knights of G. Go to Knights of G. All day long. All she does is talk about indie comic stuff, and her advice is really really good. And she's harsh. She's harsh. She don't pull punches. She'd be like, "Yo, you doing it wrong. This is how you're supposed to be doing it." And yeah, I would recommend watching her stuff. And if you have questions about conventions and marketing, and because it's all focused on indie comics, so it's very very specific to what we're living right now. So yeah, big shout out to Nights of G. Nights like K Nights of G.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
People be looking like I can't find it.
Mhm.
Yeah, conventions. I just saw this post. I posted it in like someone on a Facebook group, but it was a post talking about conventions actually, and it
Mhm.
was basically saying it was basically saying a lot of things we're saying about conventions being high priced and everything like that, but it was saying uh the ways to go about conventions and go about them with intention. It was a real long article, but he
Mm.
went through it a lot, like just he's some of the things I said earlier were some of the things I saw in there about networking, meeting people. He's basically just talking about conventions. You can find success in conventions if you go, if you kind of gear what you're looking towards. Like you said, this convention may be one where there's a lot of buyer intention. Then that might be something you want to go to. Maybe this is one that you may can network and get content. That was one of the things he said, like getting content at the conventions and stuff like that is big. That's one thing I struggle with sometimes. I try to get more photos and stuff at content, not because as you know, us, we try to be so in the moment, like especially from the era we come from. We come from the era where we didn't always have phones to take pictures and stuff. So, but like stuff like that, trying to get content at cons, which could help more. You know, I'm still kind of using content that I get from like BlurredCon and stuff like that.
Yep.
So it was a very good article about just kind of helping you to be successful and going and what to look for and what things to do at cons. It was really dope article. I'm gonna send it to you. I'm gonna send
it to me.
Find it again, but I'm gonna send it to you.
Yeah, send it to me. I mean, I'll say this. I mean, I've never not made money at a con. I've had cons. I've had cons. Like there's a couple cons where there was one con where like nobody was there, and I still cleared my table. So I always make profit. And I can tell you, from my personal perspective, the thing that I see people doing wrong the most is A, not engaging people as they walk by.
Yeah.
Number one mistake. B, not having good cover arts on your comics. And that's actually not even a convention problem. That's just a comic book problem. Yeah. Your cover art needs to be professional. It needs to be exceptional. It needs to be eye grabbing.
Yes.
3, not being able to pitch your comic books right. You know, one of my buddies, he always says when he sees people walk by his booth, he says, "You like comics?" And then he kind of like tries to pitch them from that. I personally don't like that. I don't care that you like comics. I don't care that you've never read a comic before. That's okay, fine. Do you like this idea of this story? You know, I have a story about a football kid, you know, 2 high school football kids. One of them is nonverbal. All right. That's a story idea I'm pitching to somebody. It just happens to be in comic book form. Right. But so I don't have to ask you if you like comics or not. I just want to know, do you like good stories? Like I want to pull you in with the concept, with the idea. So maybe you've been reading comics your entire life. Maybe you've never read a comic. That's not important. So I'm not going to ask you if you like comics or not. So like just that first question it's the hardest. It's almost like you see a girl that you want to ask out on a date. Like how do you start that conversation? Like, you know, you don't want to be forced. You don't want to do too much, but you don't want to do too little. Like you want to seem confident, but you don't want to be pushy. Like you know, you want to be respectful, but you like how do you initiate discussion? So one of the things that I do, because I have a variety of comics, being like water, right? Because I have kids comics and I have horror and mature stuff, I kind of have a wide net that I can catch everybody at my table, right? So if I see a little kid, right? I always want to appeal to the parents. So an easy way for me to grab little kids is to give them free stickers. I have a bunch of really beautiful holographic stickers from my Cosmic Comic. So if I see a little girl, little boy, I'm like, yo, you want a free sticker? And I talk to the parents and they say yes. And before I give them the free sticker, I pitch them the comic. After I pitch them the comic, then I give them the sticker. So the sticker is not free because ain't nothing in this world free. You got to listen to my pitch before you get the free sticker. If I do a convention and I happen to do a panel, when I'm on a panel, I'll say, hey, listen, I'm at booth, 208. Anybody who is at this panel, come to my table and say, Josh Allen is the best quarterback of all time, and I will give you a free gift. And people love that. They love that. Oh, I got something special from getting to this panel, and now I'm and then when I get off the panel, I'll go to my table. People are flooding my table. So that's another tactic. So yeah, give people stuff. We're making little footballs for silent count, right? So if I see somebody, I might just throw a football at them and see if they catch it. You know what I mean? It just do something fun. You know what I mean? Just break the ice. Find a way to create conversation, right? So then once I get somebody close to my booth, I ask them, what type of stories do you like, or what is there anything catching your eye? A lot of times you just look at people's eyes and they'll lock in
Exactly.
and you'll say, oh, you like that? Oh, let me pitch it. Now here's the thing. I've gotten really good at pitching because I've pitched to so many people over the years, the same comic over and over and over again. And what I learned about pitching is going back to the whole dating thing. It's like you start to learn which words in your pitch get people excited, right?
Right.
So for Kimmy Cosmic, it was Space Cowboy. When I said that, people kind of peaked up. With Dragon Face, it's like when I say the 1% are a group of dark sorcerers whose magic is powered by the suffering of humanity. Boom. I usually don't have to say anything else. Like literally that sentence, I will sell the book just off of that sentence because it's a high quality book. When you open it, you look at the artwork, it's beautiful, it sells itself. But that initial sentence immediately piques people's interest because, and it's just, I got lucky with this. The world is kind of mimicking this concept that I wrote. So whenever I pitch people Dragon Face, they immediately be like, oh my God, it sounds like society. It sounds like what's going on right now. And I'm like, hey, you said it, not me. The amount of times I've been able to draw that connection with Dragon Face has been insane. But that line, the 1% are a group of powerful dark sorcerers whose magic is powered by the suffering of humanity. It took me a time to get to that because then I thought about, I used to not say the 1%. I used to just say like, oh, there's a group of dark sorcerers. And then one day I kind of said, and they're kind of like the 1%. And somebody said, who? Like that. And I was like, oh, I should put that 1% in that pitch. Now, every single time I say it, now I say the 1% is a group of dark sorcerers whose magic is powered by the suffering of humanity. When people heard that, you think about people who are suffering now and people are dealing with mental health issues and financial struggles and all that type of stuff. It's all encompassing. Everybody can kind of think of that like, oh, wait a minute, I'm suffering. What's the reason? Oh, wait a minute, there's some rich asshole who's profiting from my suffering. It's like a catch-all concept. And if you happen to like horror, you're plugged in. All right, so that's the first line of the pitch that gets people in Dragon Face. You know what the second line is? It's colored with the washed out color palette and printed on unfinished paper, giving it an 80s horror aesthetic. That's the second line. That second line came from me recognizing that people want something different, right? So when we did Dragon Face, I pulled the color palette from an 80s Daredevil comic. So that's all true. And I also washed out the paper so that it looked kind of like old and ashy and yellowed. Like if you can see it, this is like an off-white cream paper. Like it
I can
looks,
see it a little
yeah,
bit.
yeah, yeah. When you hold it in your hand, you can kind of see it's aged. But that pitch, that's something that people just haven't heard or experienced, and everything is bright and flashy. Here's something that's drained and washed out, and it's pulp horror. It's old school 80s horror aesthetic. Oh, that's like Stranger Things or like something, like Halloween or something like that. Right now, I'm eliciting those types of classic vibes and feelings. So those two lines I just gave you is my Dragon Face pitch that I've said 1,000 times, and that's what sells the book, right? So figuring out what's good about your comic. Silent Count, I haven't perfected the pitch yet. I'm still getting, I say, it's a high school. It's about two high school quarterbacks who are fighting for the top spot. One of them happens to be nonverbal and uses ASL. Now that usually piques people's attention, the nonverbal aspect of it. But the high school football thing is tough because a lot of comic book fans don't like sports.
Right.
So they feel like, oh, I don't like football, so this is not for me. And that's kind of like the issue that I find that I'm facing with Silent Count. Even though there's a lot of popular sports manga and sports comics, but those sports manga, I think there's one called Blue Field or Blue Streak or something. I know anime fans are going to kill me right now because I know there's a very popular anime right now. I think it's based on soccer. I think those work because you get to see the action sequences when you watch the anime. This, if you don't open it up and look at how beautiful the artwork is, you might be put off by the whole football thing. So
Right.
I'm still perfecting the Silent Count pitch to get it where I can just get everybody when I pitch it. So that's just the That's a lot of talk about pitching and how to get people. So we were talking about, all right, first, you don't you y'all are not talking to everybody who comes by your booth. You need to talk to everybody who comes by your booth. You need to be
Be
nice about
engaging,
it.
yeah.
You need to engage them. You need your
At
artwork
least
needs to
say
be,
hello. At least
yes,
say
yes,
hello. How was
absolutely.
your day? Something.
And like I said, for some of the stragglers, the people who are kind of like in between, you got to offer them something, give them something. You know what I mean? Like I said, I sometimes I do free stickers. Oh, another big um piece of advice: put your comic books in people's hands. All right. So first thing
Yes.
is
Let them
you
flip through
need,
the
yes,
pages.
you need to have books on your table that are
Display.
like display copies. Thank you. And I usually put the stickers on the covers that say display so people know, because some people are really weird with comics. You're like, oh, I don't want to touch it. I don't want to mess it up.
That's
I'm like,
yeah.
no,
That's yeah. That's a
no.
good idea.
I'm like, nah. This is a display copy. You see it right on the front. So I always sacrifice a couple issues for everything I print that are going to be display. Right. As I'm talking to somebody about the pitch, I just put it in their periphery. I don't shove it in their hands, but I just gently push it towards them so that they feel comfortable grabbing it and opening it. Because I told you I have another company with my shea butter, and we used to do a lot of trade shows and stuff like that. And it was the same thing. We would have samples of our shea butter, and we you could talk about it, but once people put it on their skin, I don't have to do no talking. Talking's over. You're experiencing the product and you either love it or you don't. And most of the time they loved it. And boom, the sale is there, right? So it's the same thing with the comic. Like, just open the dang thing. But people are very reluctant to grab comics and open them. So just gently just push it towards them as you're explaining it to them and encourage it. And I say, I encourage you to open it up and let me know what you think. Put the pressure on them to give you their opinion, right? People actually love that because it's like, I actually want to know what you think, like as if they're an authority on comics, right? Like, tell me, is this artwork good? Like, is this a good story? Like, please help to let me know. You want to bring people into the process, right? So now that you feel like that they're part of your comic now. So yeah, let me know what you think about this. Like, I really want your opinion, and just be sincere about it. I actually do really want your opinion on it. But ultimately, that once people open it up and they see the artwork, like Kimmy Cosmic, just people are like, oh, I'm not interested in that. I'm like, okay, just let me know what you think. I'm like, oh my God, this is beautiful. Okay, I'll buy a copy. Like, I flipped a lot of people who didn't want to buy anything and they left my table $30 poorer. So like, I'm not some master at this, but I just know that there's certain I'm way better at selling comic books at conventions than I am at selling comic books on the internet. I promise
Yeah.
you that.
Me too,
I
bro. Me too.
promise you that. But it's also because you're in the internet, you're in front of the entire world. When you're at a comic book convention, you're in front of people who actually like this stuff, right? So it's
Exactly.
niche. What we do is super niche, and it's easier to go into that pocket when you're there. But yeah, bro. I mean, listen, man. Like I said, I ain't got nothing to do tonight. I know we've been on here for 90 minutes, so it's up to you
Oh
how
shit.
long you wanna kick it for, bro. I'm
I just got one last thing to talk to you about. So you were talking earlier as a question that I'm glad I held on to. So earlier you were talking about how with Silent Count you got issues 2 and 3 are being worked on now, but you said 4 the inks that's actually being worked on too. And you said you may combine Kickstarter. So one things that I'm working on right now is I'm working on my next Kickstarter or setting it up, which is going to be 2 issues of the same series released in one. So I kind of want to ask you your thinking on that because my thinking was I could do one and then do the next one, but since I have both these issues done now and I can complete the arc, like these 2 issues will complete the whole first arc of this, if you add in the first one. So I was thinking I'll release this one on Kickstarter and I'll release them together so that the next Kickstarter could be the full volume all together, like the trade paperback. So I was kind of wondering which your ideas were, even if you had set in stone what you were going to do. Like, what are you thinking about towards doing your Kickstarters for Silent Count, with being that you have enough to do 2 on 1?
It's a tough question, and it's one that I've gone back and forth about. Technically, the more Kickstarters, the more money.
Technically,
right?
yeah.
So if we wanna optimize our cost of production, because that's what the Kickstarter is supposed to be there for. It's supposed to cover our cost of production, at
Mm-hmm.
least, at the very least, right? That's what we want to get out of it, right? Um, if you have multiple issues of a series, you should run a Kickstarter for every issue. However, I personally really don't like floppies. I don't make enough money on them. I rather sell. I make all my money on trade paperbacks, right?
Right.
When I first did a Kickstarter for Kimmy Cosmic and Dragonface, I had written and produced 5 issues of Kimmy Cosmic, and I put them all together in one volume. So I didn't sell Kimmy Cosmic #1. I sold Kimmy Cosmic Volume 1, which was 5 issues together. Same thing with Dragonface. There is no Dragonface issue #1. It was Volume 1, all 5 issues. I feel like that was one of the best decisions I ever made as a comic book creator, was to start off with full graphic novels instead of floppies, because it just maximized my profit. I was able to put my books in indie bookstores because they won't take floppies, but they'll take graphic novels. It created more opportunities for me, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, ultimately it was just more financially viable. However, I struggle with Kickstarters. I don't really do well on Kickstarter. So that was my first Kickstarter that I ran for this, and I was able to raise a lot of money because it was my first. But subsequent Kickstarters are not as successful for me. So for subsequent Kickstarters, it makes more sense to do a floppy because you don't have as much cost of production. And when I mean a floppy, I'm talking about a single issue. When you said you said you have 2 issues, right? So my advice to you would be to do 2 Kickstarters. Well, actually, technically 3 Kickstarters.
Well, I did
Issue
one
one.
already for issue
Oh, you
one.
did one for issue 1. Okay, so another for issue
this next
2.
one will be for all 3
and
of
then
them together.
and then so how many issues is it? It's 3 issues.
3. Yep.
It's 3 issues. Okay, so what I would probably do is you did one for 1. I see what you're saying. Do one for 2 and 3, and then do another one for the volume.
Yeah.
Or do another one for issue 2 and do another one for 3 in the volume. No, I like the other idea first.
See,
or
my
do
idea
2, 3, and the volume.
My idea was to do. They started out with doing 2 as its own, and then 3 with the trade paperback. But I was if me as a fan, I'm not buying that 3rd issue. I'm just gonna buy that trade paperback.
Right. So bundle 2 and 3 in one Kickstarter, and then do another one for the volume.
Yes.
For the trade paperback. Yeah. I say that's probably your best bet. I mean, in a perfect world, you'll do a Kickstarter for 2, 3, and the volume.
Right.
The problem is Kickstarters are freaking tedious, man. Like it's just hard to continue to keep doing them. And I feel like you're probably saying, hey, listen, I can maximize my effort here if I kind of combine these. But I also feel like you might be losing out on a little bit of extra money that way. You know, it's a tough. I would say definitely do at least 2. Do at least 2 more Kickstarters. I would combine 2 and 3 into one Kickstarter, and then the final Kickstarter would be the full volume. Right. I think that's the best bet.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Yeah, that's probably the best bet.
So you are thinking about doing Kickstarter issue? So
I gotta take my own. I gotta take my own advice, right? So we're gonna do. I think we decided to do 3 more Kickstarters. So I think we're gonna do one for issue 2, one for issue 3 and 4, and then one for the volume.
Okay.
I think that's how we're gonna do it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So it's kind of like the same. Just you got extra issue.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah. I mean, or you know what? Maybe we do 2 and 3, and then 4 and the volume. I don't. I see what you're saying about people are not going to buy that last issue, but I'm okay with that.
I think they will. I still think some people will because you still have the collectors and stuff. But
right.
fan, Me as a fan, if you got that trade paperback out, I'm gonna get the trade paperback because
Right,
I
right.
love floppies as a collector, but I like to read my comics
Yeah,
as a trade
right, right.
paperback.
And
So that's what I'm gonna probably go for.
I also realize that the style of books that I do are I'm very reader focused. I'm way more reader focused than I am collector focused. Like I don't do
Right.
all the variants and all that. Like I like to make books for people to read. I don't like playing all the whole variants. Even though that's where a lot of money is. I got a lot of homies who making a lot of money on Kickstarter doing tons of different variants and all that type of stuff, and more power to them. But that gets expensive on the production side. Like you got to really hit those high Kickstarter numbers to justify all of that, like having a dozen different variant cover artists do variants and stuff like that. It gets pricey. But hey, some of these people, they're doing 5 6 figure Kickstarters on a regular basis, so they can they can cover that cost. You know, eventually when I get to that level, man, I got some crazy ideas for like add-ons and stuff like that. Like I really want to
Mhm.
get crazy with it, if I can start getting my clout up to that level. But yeah, man, I try to support every one of your Kickstarters.
Thank you.
If
I
I miss one,
appreciate it.
I'm sorry. No, man, you your books are great, man. Like I remember I got the beer and bullets. I was like, this is fun, man.
Oh,
Like
that was a fun series to make.
so I guess my question to you is like, where you have a lot of different titles, right?
Right.
Do you have? Let me see, because I think I've been to your website before. I'm gonna pull up the 615. What? How? Okay, let me ask you about that. What is your website stuff like? Do you push it? Do you get sales on there? Like,
Yeah, I push the website. I try to push the website every day. Sometimes forget to, but I still try to push the website every day, and I get a lot of digital sales, physical sales. Now I'm not gonna say a lot, like it's a crazy amount, but I do pretty well on well, especially with digitals. So I'd like to have my digital available on the site, and I do well with those. But yeah, website pushing to the website is I was doing TikTok Shop too, but TikTok Shop it was working, but TikTok Shop takes like a month for you to actually get the money when people buy things.
mm,
So I that's why I kind of started just gearing towards my website.
okay, okay. Um, yeah. So you got a lot of series, man. Are you all your characters in the same universe?
Most of them, most of them. Even
Okay,
comics I got a question for you. Another question
okay.
from Comics Plus.
Oh, okay.
Do you feel indie comics can slash will be successful without doing a Kickstarter? Ooh, I think when you build up your audience, are people who don't use Kickstarter that go straight to their website. I think once you build up an audience and like get an email list together, that you can definitely be successful without doing a Kickstarter. But a Kickstarter helps. It has its own kind of built-in audience of people that are already looking for comics. It has people are more learning about Kickstarter. You feel me? So it it. I think starting out, like the name is in the name, Kickstarter. So I think starting out, it definitely, especially for newer creators, it definitely can be a help. And one thing, when I was starting out, that I realized is that it's hard to push people to your website. I just was talking about push people website, but I had to gain trust. I had to gain these people had to know who I was before they started going to my website because people sometimes get scammed and stuff like that to where they may feel more comfortable going to a Kickstarter than just going straight to your website. So that also can be something that's you got to get over that hump.
Technically, if you don't do a Kickstarter or some type of crowdfunding, you're leaving money on the table.
Right.
So to answer your question, you can absolutely be successful without a Kickstarter. All you need is money to produce. Like you know, you can either source the money yourself, um, or you can, I don't know, get an investment or something, or beg, borrow, or
Grants.
steal. You know, start an OnlyFans account. I don't know, I'm joking. Yeah, yeah, like you can get your money however you get your money. Grants is a good yeah. If you're doing a comic on like something related to like maybe like the historical fiction or the government or something, like you might be able to get someone to fund that. So you can absolutely be successful without doing a Kickstarter. the only point of a Kickstarter is to get money to be able to produce your comic, because comics production is expensive.
Very
So
expensive.
if you're gonna do it without a Kickstarter, you just need to find another way to get the money. For a lot of indie creators, the only way they can get the money is from Kickstarter. That's why they choose to do it. For me, I took out a business loan. I produced my comics, and then I did the Kickstarter, and the Kickstarter paid back my business loan. So that's what I was able to do. So there's different ways you can freak it, right? Um, but you got to ask yourself, why would I not do a Kickstarter?
Mm,
Kickstarters are very cumbersome. They're not easy to do. They're very angst inducing. They're a lot of work. But ultimately, if you're successful, it's money that you wouldn't have had, because
exactly.
the Kickstarter money you get, it doesn't take away from all the other money you make off the book. You still make the money off the conventions. You still make the money on your website. If you're in stores, you're still going to make money that way. So like I said, Kickstarter is technically extra money. So it's kind of like, why would I leave this money on the table? The only reason that I wouldn't do it is uh, uh, allocation of resources, time, and energy. We just had this discussion about how many Kickstarters should we do for each of our series. So technically, yeah, we should do a Kickstarter for every single issue. But now we're talking about resource allocation, because now there's a lot of time promoting and being on the internet and dealing with Kickstarter and waiting for your money and doing the
Mm,
campaign. So like, okay, maybe we reduce the amount of Kickstarters we do, and that will give us more energy to push them and market them and promote them more, because then you get Kickstarter burnout. That's the other thing. Okay, I don't see how some of these other dudes don't get Kickstarter burnout. In fact, I know guys who do a lot of money on Kickstarter. When I'm telling you, they're on their phone constantly, just like promoting and updating and did this and that. It's yeah, you're getting the money, but you really are in the Kickstarter domain constantly. So
right.
like I said, it's how you want to allocate your time and energy is really going to determine it. But yeah, ultimately, yeah, it's all about money, man, in terms of producing.
And
Comics aren't like, go ahead.
also,
Go ahead.
it helps. One thing that helps with me is just the printing cost. Like that's one of the biggest
Mm,
things I use Kickstarter for, is to get everything printed, to get whether it be posters, comics, whatever, stickers, to get anything printed, because the printing costs that can be crazy sometimes.
where you
So
print?
I use Comic Wellspring.
Okay, yeah, I use them too. I use them and mix them. Um, and I use, well, for floppies, for any type of trade paperback. I do that overseas, 100% strictly.
Why do you do those overseas?
Bro, I found this printer overseas. I just love. So I had a buddy who had a like a marijuana shop, and he used to make all of his products. Like, if you bought something in his shop, the packaging that it was in, he made it. And it was always like the dopest, like new age, like packaging. Like everything in the store looked so new and different, and he had all these cool bottles and jars and bags and all this type of stuff. And I'm like, man, you got it going on in here. He's like, yeah, man, I produce all my stuff in China. And he had all these like printers and stuff like that. Oh, that's dope. And he knew about my business. He's like, yo, you should contact them. And I'm like, man, I'm not trying to do all that China stuff. Like, that's outside. Like, this is when I was first starting out. So that just seemed like national printing. That seemed like it was outside of my ability at the time. I was just not thinking big enough. And this dude leaned on me. He kept telling me, bro, you gotta do it. Finally, I linked up with these international printers, and they're really good, dude. Because not only are they exceptional at customer service, so literally there's like a WhatsApp, and as they're printing your shit, they're like sending you photos and videos of everything. They're asking you all the questions, all the parameters, everything. But their prices can't be beat. The only problem is you usually have to print like at least 500. Sometimes you can have a lower number. Sometimes they might do like 200-300 for you, but usually 500 is their minimum. So I only go overseas when I'm printing my graphic novels. Like Kimmy Cosmic, this is the second printing of it. So because the book just sells well, I'll probably re-up for like 1,000. copies every time I do a print with them overseas. And when I'm doing 1,000, that that number gets me a good price per book. So the
Right, 'cause
profit
you're getting
margin
bulk.
becomes good. So yeah, so I've been able to lower the price. The original Kimmy Cosmic I used to sell for $30, but it was bigger. So I reduced the size of this book, dropped my because it's a kids, well, it's not a kids, it's a young adult, all ages book, and that this is the dimension of it. Like just by comparison, a regular comic is this big, and Kimmy Cosmic is this size, and
Okay,
that's
I
because
feel you.
this is the digest size. This is when you go to a bookstore, all the graphic novels are this size. DC Comics, again, props to DC because they're really doing big things. They reprinted all their stories in this size now. So if you go to like an airport, for instance, you'll see the
Yeah, the
rack filled
compact
with
joints.
these.
Yeah.
Yes, the compact joints. Yeah, and those things are selling like hotcakes. Also, it's closer. It's more closer to the size of manga and stuff like that. So, in Silent Count, even though we're printing it as a comic book, when we do the trade, it's going to be digest size.
Okay.
I
Gotcha.
lost my train of thought. I forgot. Oh yeah, and I'll do that. So now I got a bigger profit margin even because now the book is smaller. It's cheaper to print, and now I can lower the price. So now I sell these for 20 or 25. And yeah, and I got the foil. I got the foil overlay. You can see I got the stars kind of glowing like that. And this is a soft touch matte. I don't do any glossy stuff. No gloss for me. The quality is great.
Looks great.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and yeah, this so yeah, anyway, so that's my printing. That's how I do with printing. It's maximizing. Oh, for Mixum, if you go to Mixum, what I like about them is that you can do an instant quote with their calculator on their website. And I find that if you play around with the parameters on their calculator, and if you play around with the numbers, like the amount you order, like you put in like a weird number, like let's say you want to order 200 copies of your next comic, right? Put in like 197 or 203. It scrambles their calculator and you'll get like a really good price randomly. Like I've just hacked their calculate their calculator or whatever, and I just get really interesting prices sometimes. So yeah, if you're finding that you're paying too much per copy, I would say mess around with some of those other options. You got a
Uh,
new question?
Comics Plus says the customer service is great too. I believe he's talking about Maxim.
Oh yeah, yeah. Mixum does have great
Mixim.
customer
Mixim.
service. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I do their yeah, I do their chat. They have a great messaging thing. And then they yeah, yeah, they got good customer service for sure.
Yeah, bro, but that's all the questions I have for you. Well, not questions. This is an interview, but that's I actually got to get out here because I got work in the morning.
Oh yeah, okay.
But
Yeah, I'm gonna be up all night writing. Real quick, are you gonna clip this at all or
yeah, I'm gonna
okay,
try to
okay.
use my clip maker. Been messing with me lately, but I'm gonna put this in a little clip maker on Adobe and have it make some clips for me. So I've definitely clipped this joint up.
Bet. Well, thank you for having me here. Comics Plus, thank you for the questions.
Yes, thank you,
Thanks for
Comics
staying locked in.
Plus. Yeah, thank you for coming on. This has been the first time I did create a chaos, and it went exactly how I wanted it to go. Kind of just a conversation, and plus, thank you, uh, TN Comics Plus for asking questions, keeping it going. But yeah, I want to thank you for coming on and be the first person in this creative chaos. So one day, if I make this like $1 billion thing, I can be like, you know what, me and AJ was the first ones. Oh, we got another comment. Good show. Thank you, bro. Thank you, Resident 76.
I'm gonna post real quick. Let me do a
Oh yeah.
shameless
I was gonna say before we get out of here, tell them, show, put all your plugs out.
let me so I'm about to post in the joint. So we got the page for Silent Count issue number 2 is live, and I'm about to post it right here. So please
Okay.
follow me on Kickstarter so that we can get it popping. So this is the link for the Kickstarter page, and then of course my website where you can get all my books on earthzoneking.com. And if you about that mainstream Comic Life. Please order Tales of Shadow Man at your local comic store. Ordering comics, ordering comics is it costs you nothing. Like it's free to pre-order comics at your local comic store. So a lot of black comics, we really depend on you guys doing the pre-order. So please pre-order some of our comics. Oh, I gotta respond to Malcolm McFadden. He needs me to respond about Thema Queen of War on Kickstarter. I better do that quick. I better
Oh
do that.
yeah, surveys.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, thank you guys for keeping it thorough with me. And yeah, let's um let's do this, man. Keep making comics, guys. Keep making comics, keep reading comics. This is probably one of the most fun mediums to tell stories in. It's not overdone like television. It's niche. You got to know what you're doing when you're reading a comic. It's a very special
Mm-hmm.
type of experience. You know, uh, yes, thank y'all for locking in with us.
Yeah, thank you everybody who watched while we were doing this, and thank y'all. And I'll be back next week. I actually got another Creator Chaos lined up for next week, so be on the lookout for that. And thank y'all for watching. It's been another episode of Yo Nerd. Peace, y'all.
Peace.